An audacious woman is someone who will stand up and fight to be recognized as a human in her own right. So an audacious woman to me is just somebody who is a woman who stands up and says, these are my rights, whether they're in the Constitution or not. As a human, I have these rights, and I'm going to live my life based on these rights that I have as a human being. I felt like that we were at a time in history that seemed to be taking steps backwards from where women had gained ground. And I was trying to decide if there was anything that I could do to try to at least maintain where we were at and hopefully even go forward from there. I think that where we're at now, I feel like we are on the precipice of either making a large leap forward or a large leap backwards, and there's no in between. And I'm very concerned about that. And so being an artist, I thought, well, maybe there's something I could do with my artwork. And I knew that there were a lot of women in history. I knew that I grew up in the 60s and 70s. There was the Gloria Steinhams, the Betty Friedan's, and those kind of people who were fighting for rights for women. When I started doing these, I realized that there were a lot of women who had paved the way for where we are now, but I didn't know all their names. I knew some. I knew Susan B. Anthony. I knew Shirley Chisholm. I knew Bella Abzug. Some of those names. But the idea of painting a portrait of the women, I realized wasn't going to tell anybody anything. It was going to give them images of women's rights activists and a name. But it really didn't tell them anything about what they did, which is where I decided that putting a quote on there would tell them a little something about the woman and possibly intrigue them enough to then go Google them. Also, with each show, I have bios of each woman that they can read if they want to take the time to read more about it. A lot of women have given their lives. Many of them have dedicated their entire life to getting rights for women, and most of these women that I have painted so far did not live long enough to see the results of what they did. We as women owe it to ourselves and to these women to know the history that got us where we're at. It's never going to be done, I don't think. And you don't just win one big win like getting the right to vote and sit back and say we're done, because we still have to work on those cultural issues.